he was like trying to lay a smackdown, like, oh, you gotta pay to play. Now we're gonna have this debate, and now it's on. Now it's over. And then when she actually was like, okay, make sure you pay me some more. Then you guys got the money. You're working for TPUSA. I mean, he says, I'm not with them. I just take money from them to debate, to teach debate. And I'm sure that's all. And then the next thing you know, he's crying online like, well, but it is going to cost me a lot of money. So if you guys want to donate, wink, wink, nod, nod. Hey, everybody. This is going to be a little bit different from my usual stuff. This is a little bit more of a political conversation.
No way!
And I mostly just focus on entertainment. But today, something happened that was so once in a lifetime, I would say, that it very much merits a little bit of consideration. And I used to do a little bit of debate in high school. I've done a lot of public speaking because of things like church and school. And I just found this fascinating. This was an event. I'm talking about the debate between Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson that just happened. And wow. It's rare that you get to see somebody get trounced so well.
My turn, Mama.
And I mean, when you go through it, you see why. I'm going to do my best to explain how that happened and why I think that Andrew Wilson was definitely the loser in this one. Okay, let's just take a look at Andrew's opening statement. This is what he thought he was going to start the whole debate with that would just set a tone for the rest of it that he could support. And I think just by going by this opening statement, you can tell that it was already very weak. He was not going to be coming in strong. But I'll show you what I mean. His first statement, he mocks Candace for having dreams. Not like a big old joke, but he definitely slides it in there. It's ghoulish to profit off the death of a good man. Okay. No evidence at all from Candace. The feds have great witness testimony. Changes the definition of overwhelming evidence to I find it convincing. It's hurting TPUSA, conservatives, etc. All right, what's the purpose of these statements? He's trying to set things up in viewers' minds, in listeners' minds. Well, he's trying to get a negative connotation on her. Of course, I mean, that's what the debate is about. But let's see what he's actually trying to say. We got to think about these things. By saying that by mocking her for having dreams, he's trying to imply that Candace is just a crazy lady. She makes stuff up. Okay, now to his point about it's ghoulish to profit off the death of a good man. He's basically saying that Candace is only investigating because she's making money off of her channel, which she was already doing before all of this started, but in any case, the problem with this is that Candace is taking a great risk financially. She's constantly getting sued, and there's been overwhelming attacks by news and social media that would have just crushed probably any of the rest of us. And when you think about it, the way Andrew makes his money is by attacking OnlyFans women, or at least that's been a big part of it. And the other funny thing about this when it comes to money is that he was the one that offered to pay for this debate. And then he later whined about the cost and he's asking for donations. So by participating in this, he is giving money to the person he's accusing of profiting off of this death. You know what I'm saying? Like, his whole thing doesn't make sense there. No evidence at all from Candace. He's saying, you're just making stuff up. Okay, her reply is that there was no concrete evidence at all that Tyler Robinson is the sole killer, that he acted alone, or that he definitely shot that gun. And yet, Andrew says that he believes the Fed evidence is overwhelming. So, a little bit of hypocrisy there, right? The feds have great witness testimony. He's saying there are higher powers who have more evidence than you. Who? Who are the great witnesses? How come we all don't know about them? How come it hasn't been shouted across all the news platforms and everywhere else like they've been trying to do with all these other things that have already been proven wrong, that you can poke so many holes in? It's just, again, it's crazy. He changes the definition of overwhelming evidence to I find it convincing. Now, why would Andrew do that? That seems kind of a, I don't know, that sounds very not concrete. And I think he just keeps going, this whole thing, he was kept on pushing her for proof positive. I want that positive proofing evidence that you can touch and feel and see. I want it. I want you to have it. Where is your evidence? But he himself, in order to squeak through this debate, he changes the definition of his overwhelming evidence to just, I find it convincing. Oh yeah, it was weak. He and his team probably thought that this was the best way to weasel out of being found 100% completely wrong and looking more foolish for coming in with such weak arguments. Yeah, that was pretty weaselly if you ask me. He claims that she, Candace, is hurting TPUSA and conservatives and the whole movement. And he's, that's literally what he's saying. He's saying, if you don't stop, you're going to ruin the conservative movement. We're going to fail at the voting booths, But like Candace has said many times, and in answer to this very accusation over and over, it's their own actions, speaking of TPUSA and the conservatives and politicians in general, it's their own actions, their words, posts, videos, etc. that are hurting them. The conservatives supporting a war in Iran is hurting them. The people TPUSA has decided to ally themselves with is hurting them. They're hurting themselves. She doesn't have to do anything. They would literally take themselves down in the estimation of the American people because of their own actions and affiliations. I mean, people aren't dumb. We can see it. We've been seeing it. I think Candace made a good point that both she and, what's her name? I'm blanking out her name now. Kelly? Anyway, and Tucker Carlson, they all revealed that Charlie was changing his stance on Israel before the end. All the influencers in TPUSA lied about that, as well as his friendship with Candace Owens. They lied, and they pushed it hard, and they were extremely upset about it.
One of us, one of us, one of us.
And so she reminded him of that. She also stated that she doesn't need to take cheap shots at him in order to get her point across. But that's exactly the way he opened his stuff. He was trying to mock her. So yeah, again, ad hominem attacks, not going to convince those of us with a brain.
You sit on a throne of lies.
All right. Let's see. She also made the point that really it should be somebody from TPUSA or Erica herself there, not just another influencer like him. She reminded him that Charlie did not have a Superman neck. And when he got shot by a 30-06, that should have caused a lot more damage than what we were seeing. All right, so let's see. Andrew's point. Tyler's prints are not the most recent on the gun. We can't tell who actually handled the gun. But how does that prove that Tyler didn't do it? That's what he said. Like, how does that prove that Tyler didn't do it? I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But it was the stupidest argument I'd ever heard. She explained it all to him. She laid it all out. She says the prints, there's 5 different sets of prints on there. All of this was gone over in the trial, in the pre-trial hearing, whatever this is. And his wasn't even the most recent. His were actually the most degraded, which means that he didn't even use it anytime recently. He's not the one that should be looked into. Probably somebody else. And he goes something like, well, but that doesn't prove that he didn't do it. It's like, what?
Do you want my head to explode?
The thing that ties him to the scene, the thing that they supposedly found in the field, and that's supposed to be the murder weapon, and it doesn't have his recent prints on it at all. It's other people's more than his. That doesn't mean that there's cause for doubt. Like, it was, oh man, it was dumb. It was a very stupid argument. I don't even know how he got himself to make that argument at all. It made him look like a moron.
In times of trouble, we may be tempted to assign blame to just one person. So let's do that, shall we?
Let's see. It doesn't prove who the actual person is, but it does prove that the Fed explanation that it was absolutely Tyler Robinson who used it that day, it was completely wrong. It means that he didn't do it. And I could see that Candace was kind of flabbergasted with how he just was trying to spin that in any other kind of way. There's no other way to take that. His prints were the most recent ones. All right. Oh, this part. And when she calls him on anything, he was like, you're just making it up. You're just making it up. You're just making it up. And it reminded me of a good clip from Futurama where they have a debate on one of the news shows, and the hippie guy in the corner was like, shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
You're all nuts. Shut up. Let me talk.
You shut up, please.
No, you shut up, please.
I mean, Andrew, that sucked, bro. Like, you looked terrible. He can never defend his stance that the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson committed the murder. Well, I can't defend my stance, but can you defend yours? It was pretty sad. He tried a lot of times to say, I didn't say that, until it gets pointed out, and then he just kind of changes topic. My definition of overwhelming evidence is just that I find it very convincing. I.e., it's true if I believe it really, really hard.
But if I talk with confidence, you dopes will believe anything I say.
Not because any of the actual evidence or news that was shared with the public can, it could actually be proven wrong. It can't be defended anymore. So, I don't know. It's just, he's supposed to be an expert debater, and this was the best he could do. All right. So Candace explains in depth how the court process works, and Andrew is just like, no, the parents would just blurt everything out anyway, even though it would totally blow their son's case.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me. But then, you are very small.
And she explained that to him very well, how the process works, what the lawyers would be telling the parents. If you want your son to make it out of this, if you believe he's innocent, you will not do such and such, but you will do such and such. She explained it to him, and his answer was, well, if I was the parent, I would have blurted it out no matter what anyway. Even if it blows your son's case because you irritate the judge and you do things when you're not supposed to, there will be a time and place for it, but you just have to do it now for no reason. That was a really stupid argument, Andrew. So stupid.
You have a deficient frontal cortex.
All right. And before they go to one of the breaks, Candace tells him, you haven't proved your claims that the evidence is overwhelming. And he says, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Okay.
Guilty!
And again, after the break, he says, I followed the evidence. There's literally no evidence that Tyler did it. Okay. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? He says, I follow the evidence, but there's literally no evidence connecting Tyler to it, that he did it himself only, solo mission. There's no evidence that he did it alone. There's no evidence that he even shot the gun. So, anyway. I like how after the second break, he kind of looks like he's dying inside and trying to not look like it. Let's see, a source that warned of a threat to Candace from France. Well, she can't disclose who that source is. It would put that person at risk. And it's the same with all anonymous sources. But he tries to throw shade at her for that moment. He's like, oh, but we don't know who the source is. She's like, I reported this to the federal government directly. You don't do that if you don't have a real reason, if you don't have a real cause. And if you were to do that just willy-nilly, like, you could actually get in major trouble for that. That in and of itself is evidence that the person who told me this is a real person. Like, this is an actual threat that was made. And I mean, how could you argue with that? Honestly, like, she followed and she stated that I followed the process that you're supposed to follow, which is to report it. And that in and of itself creates a record. You know what I mean? So she just didn't throw it out there and then try to pretend. No, it wasn't like that at all. All right. Oh yeah, just in general, did you see his body? His body language. His body language did not show that of a confident person. He was pretty good at keeping his face straight. He was biting his nails a little bit at some point. I thought that was funny. His knee and his leg, his foot were twitching all the way through. Like, this guy was not feeling great. And yet some people will say, oh, it's because he always smokes, so he's just like, he's on a nicotine deficiency or something. But it's like, if you were going to prepare for this debate and you knew that you couldn't smoke during it, you would just put a patch. Maybe two. I don't know. Whatever you got to do. But you can't blame it on that. Andrew's problem with sources. He somehow thinks that this is a gotcha. But she's right. The mainstream media does this all the time. Not that we love how the mainstream media is, but if you're going to fault her for having anonymous sources, you've got to fault everybody that's ever reported or had to report in that way, investigators, anything, because it's obvious why you wouldn't divulge that information to the public. She's not out there to dox people. And if they're giving her important information, if they're feeding her important information from inside TPUSA, government, law enforcement, anything, why would she give up those names? Why would she just tell everybody who they are? Do you think anybody would go to her again after that? Of course not. And she's gained so much trust with people because after letting everybody get all riled up and then she drops the receipts, as they always say this phrase nowadays. It's getting a little annoying, but it's still valid. She'll let them go crazy and then she drops the receipts after the fact to prove who the liars are, who the fakers are, who's actually telling the truth and who's not. And so she has a pattern for doing that, but she can't just give up her sources. That would be a really quick way to never get anybody approaching her ever again with valid information.
Well, obviously.
Well, and I, let's see, I did like at about 2 hours, 18 minutes, more or less. She said, oh, so inferences are allowed again. And Andrew's like, I never said they weren't, after he gave her such a hard time. And he's always saying, well, you're just making stuff up. Oh, you don't have any positive proof for any of these things. But then he's allowed to do it. And her most important point to him at the beginning was, you're coming at me for not having hard evidence for every single thing that I believe and all the conclusions that I've drawn. And yet the legal, or not the legal, but the Fed's side and the news's side, and now his side, is that all of your stuff that's been presented in court, none of that is proven either. So you're believing in their inferences, and how is that any more valid than hers when she's actually put in way more legwork than any of these people?
You are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
So, all right, okay, and then there's his statement, all women are retarded. Just kind of threw that in there, so I guess that's his way of casting shade at her, as well as just making himself out to be a kind of a jerk.
That's okay, I don't listen to women.
And then he keeps on saying, he says stuff like, I'm a Christian, da-da-da. And yet he makes fun of people's dreams. If you had ever read your scriptures thoroughly, Andrew, you would know that it talks about people are going to have dreams, they're going to have visions, they're going to have spiritual experiences, and that is part of Christianity. That's part of believing in Christ and God, knowing that there is more to life and more to existence than the physical. There's spiritual, and while it's not going to give you evidence that will win your case in a court of law, it's a valid reason for looking into things, investigating, finding out. It doesn't mean that all of that is just a lie or just made up in people's head. If you're a Christian and you actually believe the books, you're going to believe in dreams and visions. So, maybe somebody should make him aware of that.
Blinken, what are you doing up there?
Guessing?
Let's see. Oh my gosh. Now this part, guys, this was the absolute funniest part for me of the entire thing. This guy thinks that he can corner anybody. He thinks that he can somehow muscle his way into, like, he's gonna make himself look like the big guy. He's gonna make himself look like the winner, no matter what kind of a good point the other side has. And Candace asks Andrew, so tell me what Tyler is actually charged with. And he's like, she's like, name me one of the charges. There's 7. Name me one of the charges that he has against him. And he's like, well, murder. She's like, actually, that's not. There's a legal difference between murder and aggravated murder. And then he's like, well, then you should list all the stuff. And then she lists like every single one. And instead of accepting that maybe he just didn't memorize enough for this debate, he tries to pressure her as if that's gonna make him the victor. Oh my gosh, people. That was funny. I was just rolling around here just laughing because he got so flustered, he got so rattled that she called him out. He's supposed to be coming in here to prove her wrong, to make her look like a dummy. He didn't even know what the charges against the guy were, and she exposed that to the whole universe. And like, he had nothing to say except for, well, say it fast enough. If you can't say it fast enough, then you must be wrong, and I'm the victor. Oh my gosh, have you guys ever seen Kung Pao? he's like, oh, your fist hit my face, making me the victor. That was Andrew in this situation. He could not compete with her knowledge level of this case. And so he's like, well, if you might know it, I might not know any of it at all, not even the basic part. But if you don't say it fast enough, that makes me the victor.
I'm bleeding, making me the victor.
That could not have been funnier if they'd tried. So no, he made himself out to be a big fool in this one. All right, let's see. and then, oh yeah, I forgot. And then in a last-ditch attempt to regain some of his credibility, he accuses her of getting that list through a text message on her phone. He's like, you looked at your phone at some point during the debate. And she was like, I have not gotten a single message from anybody during the entire debate. Here you go, PBD. Check my phone. And he does, and there was no such thing. And so, once again, Andrew Wilson was embarrassed and shown to be a moron.
You moron! How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
He did not have any legs to stand on in this debate. He didn't know what he was talking about. He thought that he could use tricks to crush her. But she's a smart girl and quick, and she's been studying this in depth more than probably anybody. And how he thought he was gonna corner her or make her look bad, I mean, I don't know. This is gonna go down in history, folks. All right. So what else did he do after those really two bad humiliations? Let's see. Oh, yes. He goes back and he tries to do a gotcha on Candace at the end, trying to ask that same question about this receipt, because Tyler Robinson was supposed to have gone to a steakhouse, and Candace said that she's talked to the owner of the restaurant. She has seen the receipt. She doesn't have it in her possession. He acted like she was supposed to have that. She's seen it. She's talked to the guy, but she's somehow supposed to be holding evidence. Like, the courts should have that. The lawyers and people should have that. Why would she have to have that? So if anything, people need to be getting it over to the courts, and that's fine. But why would she have it? That's a stupid argument again. And he tried to hyper focus on it. Like, you are supposed to be the one holding all the evidence to prove that this is right. She's like, I'm not the lawyer. I'm not the judge. I'm not the feds. Why would she be holding on to that evidence? It's a stupid argument. I think this guy was toast. He knew he was toast.
Oh no!
And he had nowhere left to go, so he was grasping at those straws, trying to get some way to regain his dignity. All right, let me go back to my screen here because, again, I used to be a PowerPoint wizard, and I want to put this out there in a way that it's a little more visual so it looks better. Let's see. All right, all in all, I leave this debate watch party with the opinion that Andrew is not the great debater we all thought he was a few months ago. He opened his mouth and a bunch of flies buzzed in. I don't think he won. I don't think it was even close. His body language was very nervous. He kept repeating the same things about a steakhouse receipt. It's obvious he was never going to budge on anything, despite the fact that Candace's arguments were demonstrably better and more compelling and backed by actual legwork. All he could do was repeat things ad nauseum, try to compel her to say yes or no to questions where a yes or no answer is not sufficient, and attempted to impose his own pace on her answers. He was trying to establish dominance. He was trying to mock her for having anonymous sources, when it's obvious to everyone that when people are threatened by job loss, litigation, or even physical harm, of course the only ethical thing to do is to stay anonymous. Candace doesn't say that she doesn't know who they are. She does. She just will not expose one of her sources because it's unethical and a good way to make people not trust her. She's not going to do that for little old Andrew Wilson just because he wants it. I mean, it was a stupid thing to argue, and I think everybody could see that. Everybody knows that. He was grasping at straws. A public figure like her, when investigating a murder trial, would absolutely have to maintain the trust of the public in order to have people willingly come to her with sensitive information. Andrew Wilson has proven that anyone who comes out to defend the behavior of TPUSA, the case against Tyler Robinson, and the murder of Charlie Kirk from the Fed's point of view, simply don't have anything to back them up. They go for ad hominem attacks, they try to play victim, and they focus repeatedly on points where there's no progress to be had. They're not interested in getting to the truth. They just want to make sure that Candace and you don't get to it either. So, what do you think? Did Candace win, or did Andrew win? Well, I think you know my thoughts on the subject by this point, but I think it's pretty cut and dry here. They're going to have to really strain to make it look like he won, and I'm sure they will. They always do. They try to spin it. But I mean, look at the whole thing. Look at how it went. This was one of the things, this was what happened to me during COVID. Like, I observed the behavior of the people involved. The behavior of people during COVID was the people that were scared were erratic and accusatory and angry and mean. That's never a sign that you're on the right side. It never is. In this debate, Candace was calm. She kept her demeanor. Her body language was pretty calm and still. Did you notice? She was always in very good control. She was even in good spirits. You could tell, I mean, sometimes she was irritated, but she didn't get nervous. She didn't start accusing him or attacking him of being... She could have called him out on all kinds of things for his behavior online, for his show, for his stuff. And she didn't do that. She could have tried to humiliate him. She never tried to do that. But with him, right from the get-go, he's like, oh, you know, and yesterday there was a video that came out about that from him. Yesterday, and maybe the day before. I think he might have put out two. Maybe it's just one. But he kept on trying to, she's a conspiracy peddler, and her cult following, her followers that are cults. It's like he was doing exactly the thing that he's always, I think, I've only seen some of his. I've seen a few of his things over the years. But that's what they always accuse the left of doing, ad hominem attacks and making fun of them or their people or whatever it may be. And then he was whining about, oh, I had to pay $300,000, even though he was the one that was trying to lay a smackdown, like, oh, you gotta pay to play. Now we're gonna have this debate, and now it's on, now it's over. And then when she actually was like, okay, make sure you pay me some more then. You guys got the money. You're working for TPUSA. I mean, he says, I'm not with them. I just take money from them to debate, to teach debate. And I'm sure that's all, And then the next thing you know, he's crying online like, well, but it is going to cost me a lot of money. So if you guys want to donate, wink, wink, nod, nod, then, we'd appreciate that. You were so pompous before, and you said, I'm going to lay down. We've offered all this money and she hasn't accepted yet. And then later you're crying about how much you have to pay. I mean, come on, dude. His behavior, his twitchiness, his nail biting, his accusatory manner, he just unwilling to hear reason. He wasn't there to have a conversation and to find the truth. They said it was a debate. It was technically supposed to be a debate. So you are supposed to be argumentative, but sometimes the points were proven and he just kept reiterating the same things over and over and over again, which made it not fun. And not just not fun, it also made him look weak, because if you didn't prove your point the first time, why do you think doing the same questions over and over is going to prove you the second, third, fourth time? That's not a debate. You're just parroting stuff. You're just not even thinking anymore. Anyway, so I think Candace won this one hands down. I think this is going to make the lefties and anybody guilty and anybody that's trying to make her look bad, I think it's going to make all of them look even worse. So anyway, again, this is not my usual. These days what I'm into is I like to look at movies and cinema, and I like to dig into what makes them excuse me, I like to dig into what the substance is behind the story, you know, the science or the history or whatever it might. I want to learn more and teach more to other people, stuff that I think I will find interesting and that you'll find interesting. So I mean, that's what I'm all about. This is just like a temporary thing. I don't know, maybe in the future I'll react to more news and more, you know, current events and stuff, probably using a lot of quotes because that's what I'm good at. I'll probably insert some quotes into this. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see what the future brings with all of this stuff. It's going to be one crazy ride with a lot of drama. All right, see you guys later.